Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm just going to go through this quick video showing you how to align the front and back sprockets. What you're doing is you're measuring from here, the flat part of where the chain hits, and the same on this side. It's a bit more awkward on the front because the chain itself, the actual spring I should say, gets in the way, so you have to do it more of an angle. So the easiest way to do it is get two straight edges like so, and I've done it to show you what I do. Sorry, I knocked the camera there. Again, it's very tight showing these things. So if I come round a bit, can you see that? Hopefully you can. I've drawn a line on my put it flat, might get somewhere. Right, so I've drawn a line on my, it's in the middle, on my upright ruler, and then all you have to do is come round to this side and do exactly the same, but get it on the chain. So do it on the north and south bit. As you can see, probably not so much from that one, but this one you can see it lines up. Before it falls off, it lines up perfectly, so I know that that's lined up. Ideally, you need to do this where it can touch both sides. So if you look at that, that's fine there, and that should be fine about there. Yeah, your bits and bobs like these might get in the way, but you know, the easiest way, like I say, is just put a line on it. I'm trying to do it as tight as possible. And hopefully you can see that line I should say, on there, which is bang on and bang on there. So if it was up or down on one of them, then you need to put shims in, and obviously then you need to get more creative with checking it. You need something like this beast. It's always worth investing in a set of verniers like this anyway, digital ones or manual, so you can actually put them down on there. You know, I could quite easily go from wherever I've done with it, put them back. I can go from the top, just take one, go from the top on there, that's there, lock that off, and then go for the same, you know, in there. It's quite hard to get these in actually, but that's it there, and it's in line. So if, say for instance, you've got 1 mil, this is higher than this by 1 mil, so your front sprocket's down 1 mil, you can get a 1 mil spacer to go underneath. You have to take all of that off, put the spacer underneath where the thrower washer is. That thrower washer incidentally is not on a series 1. They brought it in on the series 2 onwards, so series 2, series 3, all of the later casings have got that oil thrower, not on the earlier one. I'm quite happy that that's level, so I can stick my gauges back again. And stick on the side casings. So I'll cut back in when I've put that back on. It's just a gasket, as you know. Side gasket on, then bolt it down. Don't forget, with an LI you've got this. I never think that the copies are as good. I mean, look at that, it's absolutely, you know, 60 years old and it's still like new. Very, very hard. If like me, you put a bit of grease on them, you can find that they'll sit and you have to press them down. That's your clutch actuator, by the way. The new ones I don't think are as hard as these, and consequently they wear out, so it's just something to keep an eye out. If it's obviously worn out, looks knackered, replace their pennies. Like all things on it sort of, it grows money wise the more you spend on it. So I've had to stop for the last couple of days because I needed the mag gasket, and I needed this bolt I wanted to change for a new bolt. The sort of later GP bolts like this, where they're a separate bolt and a separate washer, I don't think they're as hard as the original Innocenti one, so just bear that in mind. If you keep using them, keep a stock of them anyway. If you've got the original one, I'd reuse that, but I use the original one in this engine, so in the one that's going into the Series 2. So I'm quite confident this engine now is built back again. It's got its 150 piston barrel head on. It's got the gearbox back in, which is all Innocenti clutch in it. Obviously new metals and cork plates. Got a new bolt here. The chain's adjusted, maybe a tad tight. Possibly you could argue that that's a bit tight, but it is what it is. I'm not loosening it off now. I was quite happy with the engine when it was built, so it's just a bit greasy where I keep turning it around. But I've bunged this together to show you, because I realised when I built the last engine, this one that's going in the Series 2, I forgot to show you what I do with aligning the chain itself, so, or front and back sprockets. If these are running out of alignment, and you'll get wear, premature wear on your chain itself, so, and they can stretch. So you want this nice and easy. So I'll get a spanner, 13mm spanner. I'll just get a little light, that's not 13, that's a 14, that's a 13. You can see I can turn this engine around nice and easy, lovely and easy, and that's what you want. You want that to turn nice and easy. And if you're looking at the chain, it's running, not that you can see by eye unless it's a million trillion miles out, but I've used the original chain guides because it's a Series 2, they don't wear out. So right, I'm going to cut away from that now. I'll stick the side on gasket wise, and side of the engine on, and I'll cut back in. Right, so as you can see, I've just put on the 42mm AF, genuine AF Clubman, just to see how it fits. Fits perfectly, lots of room for air. This engine more or less is built now. All I'm waiting for is the cowlings to dry off and the rear hub. When I've got all them, I can stick the cowling on, put the exhaust on, and wheel it on, put it back in the frame, and then we can discuss all about this electronic kit, how these two, again, how it works, and how you get better power out of these two than you do out of one. They're standard, as I was saying before, for the CTI, or CDI I should say, and yeah, I'm quite happy with that. The kickstart came, I put that on, no problem at all. See what I mean? When that's got to go there before it kicks. So if it's on a GP, it's like, again, it's probably down here, and that's why I like doing that mod for the kickstart ramp. It just brings it in line with what Innocenti designed in the first place anyway. So what we've got to cap up here is we've got a new side casing, new casing themselves, a new mag casing, a new crankshaft in this. We've got a new gearbox in it, a new clutch. I've reused, as you know, a GP200 cylinder that I had, slightly ported it, and fitted a new piston in it, and that's the head that came with this cylinder. We've got a new Scootopia 22mm on there, and an inlet, so we should be pretty good for business. And as you know, when I put the side engine casing on, I put 500ml of half a litre of the gearbox oil in there just while it was sitting there. When it's in the frame, we can check the fill up, and the drain one's there underneath. So you should fill it from there. I always fill it from here, to be honest, easier. Check your level. When it starts coming out of there, then you're okay. If it pours out, obviously leave it out until it stops draining out. That's what it's supposed to do. And that's your drain plug under there. As you can see, all of the nuts and bolts are on, the side casing, the flywheel's on, So it's just basically a case of once I get the cowlings dry, and the problem is being winter, they take forever to dry off and harden up, I can take this box off, put the downpipe on, seal it all up, put the cowling on, as I say, and then drop it into the frame. And what we'll probably do is we won't bother with connecting any of the cables up. I'll just stop that from changing gear, obviously, leave it in neutral as it is now, and we'll run it up, just connect up the choke and the throttle cable, and obviously the petrol, because that won't work otherwise. But I'm probably going to end up changing that petrol pipe for a new one. It hasn't collapsed or anything, but yeah. And obviously I've got to put the rear hub on, which will take 5 minutes. And what I'm going to do is leave the back wheel on. It does take the back wheel on here. You don't have to take off the hub, the back wheel, and then all I can do is drop it straight off of here, take the bolt out, put the bolt back in again and wheel it to the frame. So job's a good one. So yeah, reused obviously some of the old Innocenti stuff. There's a new back brake lever. If I've got it new, then obviously I've used it. If not, and it's not worn out, like none of that's worn out, what's the point of changing them? They're plenty good. I could spray them up or get them nickel plated, but what's the point? I'm doing it for a road going scooter, not for a show scooter anyway, so I just can't wait to actually see how well it goes. It should be a lot smoother and quicker than it was with the 150 in. I never had a problem, like I say, just a bit slow for modern day traffic. So this will be the end of this video today. Sorry I cut in and out a few times, but doing up nuts and bolts, it's boring. Obviously you've got one underneath as well, and all of them line up perfectly, really nice. Yeah, bye for now, and catch me on the next one, which will be putting the cowlings on, putting the rear hub on and the wheel, and obviously then wheeling it to the frame. I might put that on another video yet, connecting it, show you how I do it into a frame. I just basically use a jack under the engine and then lift the frame onto the engine, because I do it all on my own, and I haven't got one of these hydraulic workbenches. But I'll just give you a quick view of, that's the original Li Series 2 150 engine, and more or less rebuilt. It's just a couple of levers to put on it and the rear hub, which I probably won't even bother with. Take off the MB tool there, and I'll probably leave the brakes off as well. It's sort of a spare. It belongs in that frame anyway, so it's not like I'm going to be using it anytime soon. But I'll make a couple of plates up for these, the holes that are there, and put a spark plug in, obviously to save it, put some oil in it, and kick it over a few times. It's going to be up on the stand when this scooter's finished, when this engine's finished I should say. It's going to be on the stand. I don't know if I actually said about this as well, drilling out these holes. As I can actually see it with the light, but where the studs go through, you can actually just open them holes slightly, and what that does is, instead of this rod, the stud itself getting ultra hot, it can get air around it as well, so it can transfer the heat out. It just stops seizing, because they always seize on the bottom of these. Hottest part of the engine is obviously the bottom of the engine where the exhaust is, but these two at the bottom always seem to catch the rings, etc. They always seem to seize at the bottom of the cylinder in line with these studs, so it's worth drilling them out slightly. Just take them out, 1/4 of a mil or whatever, just so they're loose going in. You can screw them in loosely without any touching of the cylinder onto them. A lot of people like to put pegs in now, so that they everything lines up when they rebuild it again. On a standard engine, I don't think that's worth it. And as you can see, I've got the lower compression gasket fitted to this engine as well, so we'll see how it goes. Cheers for now, thanks for watching, bye everyone.